freaks? Welcome to a brand new episode of FREAKQUELS. I'm your host, EJ Leeson, and with me today is the ultimate certified party boy, Rory Calarasi.
Leave me alone.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm just hanging out with you guys again here on the Three Jacks.
Here we are again, Three Jack Studios, back room.
Yeah.
Three Jack Studios.
And that voice you just heard, that beautiful, magical voice, is the keeper of keeping. The next generation, young Vincent.
Hey, buddy.
Vince, can you promise me something?
Sure.
Will you keep on keeping?
I'll keep on keeping on.
Yeah, keep on keeping, baby.
How you doing, my little mutton button? I came up with a nickname for you.
Thank you. I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Yesterday was my birthday, so
Happy birthday, buddy.
Had a little get together.
Heard
I
about
didn't even
that.
know that I was having a get together. I just was like, my girlfriend's like, "What do you want to do on your birthday?" I'm like, "I want to watch Buster Keaton's The General," and so we did. And then people just started coming and showing
Nice.
up. I was like, I didn't know you invited all these people. This is amazing. So we had like a bit of a game night, and it was awesome.
Very cool. I'm gonna just assume that my invite is somewhere in the mail. So, okay, happy birthday.
Oh yeah. It's in the mail.
We actually all got invites. Mine was gold.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yep. In the mail.
Okay.
Actually, true story. So like, I didn't realize I was invited. I was actually just breaking into your house and taking stuff.
The
And
usual.
I saw Robin, and she's like, "Wow, thanks for coming." I'm like, yeah. What
Happy
am I
to-
here for? She's like, "It's EJ's birthday." I'm like, "Of course it is."
I bought EJ duct tape and rope.
I just wear the ski mask wherever I go.
Yeah. I'm surprised she recognized you with the ski mask.
It's the build,
Yeah.
you know.
I can see that.
And also, I was wearing a shirt that says, "I'm robbing your house. Love, Rory."
Love Rory.
It's a little revealing, but I stand by it.
And you wear that shirt a lot.
I do.
Yeah.
Because
It
I'm
looks
robbing
like
most
I Love
people.
New York, just
But
for
it's-
our listeners, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, what Rory
So
said.
you're talking to our listeners now? Those guys?
Those people.
But,
Don't berate them just yet, Rory. Give it some
I'm
time.
coming after you. All 5 of you.
No, 13 apparently.
Well, we'll see.
Or 13 or 14.
Who knows?
Who knows? We don't even know.
We don't care.
We'll figure that out.
We got lives. So you had a good birthday?
I had a great birthday, and I
Is that what's new?
yeah, that was one of the new things. I saw a couple movies over the weekend.
Do tell. Which ones?
I saw It's a Wonderful Knife, which is
Okay.
a take on It's a Wonderful Life. It was
Thank you for explaining that.
interesting.
Okay.
Saw The Marvels. All right.
All right.
All right.
All right.
And then,
It's a movie,
It's a movie. And then
technically.
Then I saw something else that was really good, but I can't remember what it is now. I saw 3 movies.
Was it by any chance Totally Killer?
It was. It was totally killer. Which was available on Prime.
Fantastic. I was very happy about that.
And it's also the movie that we are covering today.
Did I ruin your reveal? My
No.
bad. Okay,
no.
good.
So, oddly enough, I didn't know anything about this. I went to New Jersey over the weekend and I met Lachlan Monroe, who plays the older father in the movie.
In this movie? I
Yeah.
love him.
Yeah, me too. So Sunday I went to Monster Mania. I got on his line and met him. I talked about Riverdale. He was like giving me some cool info on Riverdale. And he was like, "Did you watch Totally Killer yet?" I was like, "No." He's like, "You gotta watch it. I'm super proud of it. It's really good." I was like, "Dude, when I get home, I'm gonna watch it."
Yeah,
So,
he's fantastic in it.
EJ,
was
let
great.
me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So you're with this guy.
Yeah.
Did you ask him about TES?
No.
Oh,
you know what's so funny?
Well, all right.
So
So guys, listen. All you at home,
didn't
you
think
just
of it.
heard a friendship end.
no, it's
It's
so
a
funny.
bitter sound, but it was coming. Long time.
I was looking for a Dead Man on Campus picture.
Okay.
And then I saw the Riverdale one, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta get Riverdale," because I'm such a huge fan. And so, and it was a picture of the Black Hood, and so I was like, "I'm gonna get this," but there's
Spoilers.
two correlations, like two kind of like
Yeah.
TES things for
Yeah.
this movie, which I didn't realize until like I was watching it and I went, "Oh my god, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot." Like she was just in An American Werewolf.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh.
Yeah, I called it Julie Bowen Weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's like back to back. So I had no idea she was in this movie.
Which is great because she's fantastic in this.
She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just picked this movie randomly because of the actor being like, oh, you should check it out. And I'm like, yo. And then I texted Rory. I'm like, hey, what do you think about doing Totally Killer for the show? He's like, yeah. All right, let's do that. Let's throw that to Vince.
I'm drunk enough. I'll agree to anything.
Yeah. So, but I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, they're like our audience is probably like, yeah, they're definitely Tom Everett Scott fans if you watch this movie. Yeah. But I love Lachlan. I think he's awesome. He's a very nice guy, and so I was pumped to watch this movie, and I actually really like this movie a lot.
I think we're going to be surprised about how everybody feels about this movie, but we'll hold it till the
Yeah.
end.
Because I feel like maybe some of us liked it, some of us maybe not.
We'll see.
Stay tuned, assholes.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, assholes.
All right, well, let's get into this breakdown. So this movie begins on Halloween night 2023, and that's important because there's a little bit of time travel in this movie.
That's what that was. Okay.
Yeah,
opening looks great.
Yeah.
I think the opening looks awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Very like Halloween-y, you know?
Which I do have in my notes because I'm like, I think they filmed in the same neighborhood as they did for Haddonfield, like some of the shots. I don't know if
the new movies.
Yeah, well, the new movies, yeah. Especially the alleyway. Did you notice that? It looked exactly.
It had a little bit of a Halloween Ends look to it.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I would
not a
agree
lot
with
of pills though.
Yeah,
right.
So I don't know. Who knows what I was thinking?
There's one point where she's walking in.
I'm
like
on pills right now.
in this alleyway, and it looks like the scene from Halloween Kills, where when they're looking for Michael, and so even that, and then I'm pretty sure she's walking by the bushes, like the hedge where Michael pops out in California. I think that's the same location, but I could be wrong. But it looks exactly like.
It looked very similar.
Yeah, I just watched like a location video on it, and they walked like down the neighborhood, and they were kind of showing. I'm like, oh, this looks very similar to how it looks now. So I think it might have been Haddonfield.
I mean, the movie was in the market to steal things from other movies. Why not? Why not
even The Mask is very. It's like a Billy Idol, not so much William Shatner.
I was going to say, do you guys know who Max Headroom is?
Yeah, that's who it looks like. Yeah,
that's who I thought it was.
See, I had a different one.
Okay, go.
PC Principal from South Park.
Oh, that's so good.
I cannot get to Google fast enough.
Look it up, man.
I'm getting it
up. Yeah, so this movie starts in 2023 on Halloween night, and Chris, who's
looks like him, right?
Doesn't he look just like him? It was like perfect.
I just found it.
Like
yeah.
Perfect jawline.
Yes.
Like of the mask and everything.
The sunglasses, just missing sunglasses, but yeah.
He wears them sometimes.
Oh.
Unless it's like a Mandela effect.
Might be.
Thing. Yeah.
I like that. Good work.
Yeah. But so Chris, who is
Thank you.
podcast tour guide, is giving a little bit of an explanation on the Sweet 16 murders that happened in the 80s in the small town of Vernon.
And I guess they didn't have any actors because they just had like a bunch of action figures.
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed that.
I'm just being a dick.
What is that called?
I'm just being snarky.
We're used to it at this point.
I gotta.
Is that scale?
I gotta bring the snark.
It was like what are those things you used to make in grade school with like the Indians and like you had a shoebox. What the hell are those called?
What kind of racist
a
high school did you
diorama.
go to?
A diorama. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
A diorama
of Native Americans.
What kind
I'm
of fancy
sorry.
school did you go to, sir?
I went to public school, dude, and I didn't learn much. You'll see.
So Chris is giving a small tour when he's interrupted by a Zataburger employee who states an opinion that kind of irks Chris a little bit. And she's like, yeah, when you think of like mass murderers,
serial killers,
normally like six
or
people.
more.
He's like, thanks, Angie, who wishes more people were killed.
This is a great line.
That's a good line.
When I heard that line, I was like, okay, this movie might be pretty good.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah, this will be fun. Yeah. So then we jump over to Jamie's room, and she's pretty much the protagonist of the movie, played by Kiernan Shipka. And we get to meet her parents, Blake and Pam. And
Pam, played by
the awesome and amazing Julie Bowen. And her dad.
Week two on the podcast.
Yeah.
Julie Bowen. Hey, Julie Bowen, if you'd like to be on our show.
She's not.
She's going to come on the show, I promise.
She's the first actress that got to go back to back like that. Right?
I know.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
If only she knew.
You hear that, Julie Bowen?
What
Come on
if
the
we accidentally
podcast.
pick another movie next week and she's in it somehow, and we're like, "What the hell is going on?"
At that point, it's suspicious.
I was going to say, and if we do a third one, I'll do my best to try and get her on. Okay? I'll see if I can get in touch with her agent.
Sounds good.
I know people.
So, yeah, we meet Jamie's parents, Blake and Pam, and Blake is played by Lachlan Monroe and Pam by Julie Bowen. And basically, we learned that Pam was actually friends with all the victims of the Sweet 16 murder. And she's actually nervous that Jamie is going out to a concert. And she's like, no, you know what happened to me and my friends Halloween night? Like, this is the worst time to go out. I don't feel safe with you going. And so she's like, we kind of learned that Pam has been preparing Jamie in case of this ever happens again. Like, she's like, you have your rape whistle. She's like, yeah, Mom, I have my rape whistle. I have my crystal. I have my, like
Pepper spray.
And
10 years of self-defense.
Yeah. And so she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll let you go if your dad drives you. And she's like, okay, whatever.
Doesn't she yell at them? She's like, what, like 6 of your friends died? Get over it, Mom.
Yeah, she does, actually. Yeah. And you're like,
3 of your friends died 35 years ago. Get over it.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted her to be in those new Halloween movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But she ends up letting Jamie go to this concert. So Jamie's
real mean.
Yeah.
She is. She's like a real Sabrina the Teenage Bitch in this movie.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
That's why you guys pay me to be here.
Again, you guys are getting paid?
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Hey, EJ, get that envelope of cash.
Yeah, dude.
It's so filled with cash.
I smelled it. I was like, yeah,
smells-
cash.
You know what it smells like? Vince's share.
Yeah.
My family's starving.
So Jamie,
We actually take money away from him to be on the podcast.
Actually, yeah,
He's actually in the red.
Yeah, he's paying to be on this podcast.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, he's like supporting all of our stuff. He's like brings all the microphones.
Yeah.
He's like, guys, you need more equipment, and we're like just taking his money from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy it though. You guys are fun. I like
thanks,
it. It's
man.
worth
Yeah,
it.
we're not taking it.
It's worth every
of you.
penny
Yeah.
that I'm shelling out to you guys.
Oh, by the way, can I have some money?
Yes. What
Thanks,
you need?
man. Just whatever you got.
Okay.
Whatever
That'll
you got.
suffice.
So Jamie picks up her friend Amelia, and they head off to this concert. Meanwhile, back home, Pam, played by Julie Bowen, gets a visit of her own from the Sweet 16 killer, and she is prepared to defend herself. Like, she is
First time I've ever seen it in a horror movie. Someone prepared to kick ass.
right.
I enjoyed that.
It was awesome.
She's got guns at the ready.
Yo, dude, I was like, she is like ready, like Punisher. Did you see Punisher 2004? Thomas Jane's.
Yes.
Like, he has all stuff like hidden over the apartment.
My
He has,
wife
like,
was
a
actually
knife.
like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Hide
Yeah.
pepper spray under the couch."
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah,
psycho.
in case you get thrown to the floor.
Yeah.
She had like one by the fireplace.
hidden
and
one hidden in the shelf. I like. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it was
actually how I
awesome.
have my alcohol around the house.
Oh, you're hiding it? I just
Yeah,
leave
it's
it
all
around.
over the place, you know.
But she's like prepared, and she's defending herself really well. And at one point, the killer leaves. He walks out the front door, which I actually laughed at, like just the way it was staged and blocked and stuff. So I was like, oh, that's all right. He just left.
Credits.
Yeah, I was
Movie's
like,
over.
Is that it? But then he
Nice
busts
short
through the
film.
back door, and then he gets the better of her, and ends up stabbing her 16 times. He's just like,
That's his MO.
yeah, that's his MO. And so,
Can't keep a Julie Bowen alive in these frequel
no,
episodes.
man, that's 2 for 2. She's
know.
dead.
Right away too. By the way.
Yeah. She was like, no, she wasn't the first victim. I was like, was she the first victim of an
She was the
American
first
Werewolf?
victim.
But she wasn't.
No.
No.
No, because there was the whole club scene. But at school, we see, well, Jamie hears the news and she's crying in her bed, drooling and stuff after the concert. And then we cut to the next day, and at school, Jamie is pulled aside to chat with Principal Summers and Sheriff Lim, who actually suspect her father, and podcaster Chris Dubasage. I think I said that right.
Douche-basage.
Douche-basage, yeah.
Douche-basage.
So they're like, hey, what's the relationship like between, your father and your mother? And why was Chris texting your mother? And she's like, what?
Non-existent. Yeah, they're not texting each other. Little did she know.
What are you talking about? So she
You
finds
know
this
also
out.
like kids in this movie, they're far more like curt towards adults
Yeah,
than when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Also-
we were taught to respect adults, and now these kids realize they're just people like us. So screw
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I was fearful of authority when I was a kid.
I know. That was like a principal and a sheriff, and she's like, "Why don't you do your rent a cop ass job?"
I love how she says that her your haircut makes you look like a ping pong ball. I thought that was a fantastic insult. I'm gonna try and use that.
Yeah. But yeah, so then we cut over in the next scene. It gets a little wild. Jamie goes to this broken down theme park, like a boardwalk.
Because that's where you go for a
Billy's
science fair.
boardwalk. Yeah. And meets Amelia there, who introduces her project for the science fair, which actually happens to be a time machine.
Of
And I was
course.
like, that's a little much for a high school student.
If anyone's gonna crack it, it's gonna be a senior high school student.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, the
not even
greatest
going
minds have
to,
attempted. Yeah.
like a good high school or anything, or it has like not even touched college yet. So yeah, it's like a little much, like
For a senior in
for a
high
senior
school to be
do this
build a
and
time
build
machine.
a
Yeah.
time machine out of a photo booth, actually.
And I just thought it was weird when the Libyans showed up and they shot her because she didn't pay for the plutonium.
Right.
Remember that?
I remember that
Yeah.
part.
That movie happened.
God, Doc.
Yellow suit. Remember it all. Yeah.
Back to the Future happened.
It happened, and it's referenced in this.
I like
movie.
that they referenced it.
Yeah.
Well, it was so blatant that they were like, well, if we don't acknowledge that we're ripping the hell out of this
right.
Yeah.
movie.
I feel that you can get away with that though when you make it that blatantly obvious and overt that
Yeah.
who cares?
Right.
Yeah, we're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
It still lacks creativity.
Agreed, but
Can I ask you
it gives you a
serious
chuckle. I
question
got a
about the
chuckle
movie,
from
though?
it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So, in the original Back to the Future, Doc Brown just makes a time machine out of a DeLorean, right? And you see it, and for some reason, you buy it,
Right.
right? It's like you don't ever see him building it, working on it. He's just kind of like, wow, you made a time machine out of DeLorean. That's neat. In this movie, she builds one, and I'm like, that's jarring. Like, that part of the film,
Yeah.
I was like, this is
That's
jarring.
what I meant. Like it felt jarring.
Awkward.
Like up until this point, this movie is just like rock solid, right? I'm
Yes.
like, oh, this is good. It gets to this part, I'm like, oh, a high school student built this time machine. I don't know.
And they got hit right in the face with that line where she's like, she said something like, when are you going to finally tell people you're building a time machine? That line is so awkward.
Yeah. It felt very jarring.
Yeah.
It did, like, you're 100% right. And that's why I was like,
They could have
even
taken
the
that out.
lead-ins
Yeah.
for this, I was like, all right, this is where stuff gets a little weird.
Yeah.
Right? So that part is jarring. I understand we do need a time machine to introduce.
I wanted something that didn't seem so awkward.
Maybe that's why they
Yeah.
referenced Back to the Future right away. To kind of ease that for you. That, hey, we're using a photo booth to make a time machine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I
Hard cut.
remember R.L. Stein wrote a book called The Beast. I read it when I was a kid, and they introduced time travel in that. And these kids get on a roller coaster called The Beast, and they ride it, and when they get off, they're
88
actually
miles per
back
hour.
in the 30s. And so, yeah, they travel through time, but it all makes sense. Like, it felt natural, you know what I mean? This was like, hey, here's the time machine.
What would have
accept
been
it.
your preferred form of time machine, of time travel?
For this, maybe have, instead of her best friend doing it, and I understand, like, what about the mom? Like, why not have her mom be like a Doc Brown? You know what I mean? And in a way, she is Doc Brown, but she's not.
I guess you can make it a little less awkward technically because it wasn't like she just built a time machine and she built off the work of her mother.
She's been using her
Right.
mother's work
So,
this entire time.
It's
Her
still
legacy of work.
stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a little less stupid, especially when they're like, "Oh, I know what went wrong. We just weren't using stabbing technology." Oh, when he stabbed the machine, that's what did
That's
it.
it.
You're like, whatever,
It needed- yeah.
gobbledygook kind of logic that is.
Yeah.
Extra metal conductor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. So we get this scene, and that's how they introduce the time machine for this movie. But Jamie's walking home, and we see like different, scenes where it feels like it definitely has vibes of Haddonfield. And so when Jamie gets home, she is listening to the podcast that this Chris Dubasage,
Douche massage.
Deuce.
Douche massage.
massage.
That's
In
what the
my
dad
notes
calls
I
him.
just have, is that guy attractive to anyone?
Nope.
Yeah. You don't think so?
I don't know. Like, I was wondering if like that guy has a wife.
Yeah.
The podcast guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some person was just like, you're the best that's out there.
Being the only podcaster here that's married, I'm gonna say yeah. There's probably someone just looking at you two. There's someone out there that loves him.
Yeah.
That hurt.
I
hurts.
intended it to. Okay, you guys keep making me watch these shitty movies.
Jeez.
I'm gonna cut you down if I have to.
I mean, we're just talking about make believe over here with a movie. You had to
Jeez,
sharpen those daggers. Are you just a little upset because we haven't been paying you?
I still can't get over that.
I guess.
My family is literally starving, guys, and you're just holding it all.
Yeah, well,
By the
someone
way,
has
do you wanna
to
go out for
coke
dinner?
with those hundreds?
Now that would have been a good way to go back in time if they had to like do like some form of substance abuse, like they had to do
Yeah.
a shit ton of coke, and then you're like, oh, we went back in time,
Yeah.
and then
pretty good. Yeah.
I prefer my time machines to be hot tubs, but that's just me.
Yep. I like phone booths.
phone booths are
Ooh.
good.
Yeah.
Nice.
DeLoreans,
Yeah. DeLoreans.
Just not a photo booth or a video game.
whatever it is Donnie Darko did.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not gonna talk about Donnie Darko.
Yeah, we're not talking about Donnie Darko. Let's get back to this
Almost
movie.
got down that rabbit hole.
So Jamie's
So when
father.
Donnie Darko did, no, I'm just kidding.
So Jamie's father, she starts to explain that Chris Dubasage is a vulture, and her mom was hoping Chris could actually find the killer. She obviously her mom just could never get over what happened to her friends, and so she actually reaches out to Chris and is like, "Hey, could you help me find the killer?" So her dad also says that they all kind of went to high school together, to help us understand later on why they're all in the same area in high school. Like,
'Cause some
for the
people-
one met
exposition,
outside
Dad.
of town. Yeah, it was like, oh, okay.
Some people just never leave town.
Yeah. So Jamie meets up with Chris, who says her mom got a note in her locker saying, "You're next one day." And it really confuses Jamie because she's like, wow, mom never said anything. She never brought this up. She always like had us prepared, but now it's starting to make sense.
I guess I understand why there's guns all over the house now.
Yeah, yeah.
If mom had just brought up this one piece of information, our relationship would have been dramatically different.
Yeah. And
That's
you see
something
this
she's just
in
living with.
2018 Halloween.
There's a lot of the 2018 Halloween in this, I was thinking.
Yeah. You could even like the monologue at the end.
Yeah, the time
They
machine.
bring it up a little bit. You know what I mean? So
Remember when Lori was in the time machine?
right.
That was pretty cool.
I wish there was a time machine.
Hot take. There is time travel in the Halloween franchise because they're always jumping in and out of these different canons. They're always going back in time and starting over.
Yeah.
So there is some form of time travel going on in the Halloween movies.
There's a character who's messing with the timeline.
What do you think it is?
It's gotta be Andy Brackett.
I would say Charlie from Halloween H2O.
Oh, okay.
That old bastard looks like he's
Yeah, he could
got
probably,
some cards up his sleeve.
or maybe it was Buster Rhymes.
If Adam Hanbird would like to be on the podcast, please reach out to us.
Well, Buster Rhymes might have, he was the head of Dangertainment. Maybe he.
Wait, what was it?
Oh, okay.
Dangertainment?
Yeah, Dangertainment.
Oh my god.
Vince, if you
Yeah.
think that's stupid, wait till you see the movie.
No, thank you.
You know what? I like Halloween Resurrection, and I'm the only one.
You're
no,
the
me
fan.
and Adam Farley are the only
You're the only ones
that like.
They made a movie for two people.
Yeah.
2 people in the audience really enjoyed Halloween Resurrection.
And I would still say it's better than some other Halloweens.
Disagree, but go on.
Yeah. So
Your opinion is shit. Move on.
yeah. So Jamie meets Amelia at the fair where they actually encounter the Sweet 16 killer. And during Jamie's attack, the time machine turns on and sends her back to the 80s. And so she soon discovers that she was sent back. When she exits the phone booth, she starts to see that was a weird lens, by the way. It was like a fishbowl
I love that
lens.
because they use that a couple times, and we'll get to a point where I want to mention that.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty.
It's kind of in focus, out of focus, in focus, out of focus.
Yeah,
Because
I like that.
world has changed.
her world has changed.
So she's
It's a nice
back.
visual indication that things are not quite right.
right.
She's back to
Or
October 27th, 1987.
Seven.
Yeah.
Yep.
She has to go find George McFly.
Yeah.
She's 2 years too late. This is where I'd like to bring up the soundtrack.
Yeah.
This soundtrack is banging.
Yeah. Venus.
Bananarama.
Yeah.
The
Love it.
Cure, I think. The Werewolves. Chris de Burgh.
Yeah.
What's my favorite one? Shannon. Let the music play.
Let the
Awesome.
music play.
So good.
That's great.
This,
that's good stuff.
check out this soundtrack. It's pretty good. I like it.
And Echo and the Bunnymen too.
Yes.
At the
Yeah,
end.
that's
was awesome.
great. Speaking of
Yeah.
Dine Darko,
Yeah.
The Killing Moon. Echo and the
that
Bunnymen.
song is
Yeah.
in Dine Darko.
I also love that song.
Lady in Red.
What was the song? Yeah, Lady in Red at the party. That was great. What was the song that was playing? Oh, Bizarre Love Triangle.
Yes.
At the party too. Another song I absolutely love.
New Order. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, great song. Good soundtrack. Really good soundtrack. Good score too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. So she steps out, and we hear Venus by
Bananarama
playing, and we see that she is now.
That's another
back in
like
the
Back to the
80s.
Future reference, I guess.
Yeah, because it's kind of like,
Like
Mr.
Mr.
Sandman.
Sandman,
Yeah. And so she's seeing all these people, and this couple is about to get into the photo booth. She's like, oh, no, don't do that. It's actually out of order. So she grabs like an out of order sign. Super clever, by the way. I thought that was awesome to like, she throws that on there and it kind of is like, okay, that's off the board now. No one's going to be like getting in and trying to use
Yes,
the
because in
time machine.
1987 people respected signs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping the person that she stole the sign from would just start screaming at her,
Like, why'd you do that for?
or just like take it back.
No, because no one at that amusement park cares about their job. And
Yeah,
they
no
make
one.
that very obvious at the end when the guy's
Right.
like, yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm
go
done.
for it.
I'm
And
out
She
of here.
doesn't need to put that in there because I don't think any of the people in that town understood the stabbing technology.
Right. But
I need another conductor.
So she puts that sign up, and then she sees the guy's shirt, and she's like, "That's actually super problematic, man." Right?
I think it was a federal booby inspector, like
Yeah,
an FBI
yeah.
shirt that you would buy on the boardwalk
Right.
at like Atlantic City or something like that.
And then
What's wrong with that shirt? My uncle's one of those guys. I mean,
he wears that.
He's also
wait a minute. Was that maybe it was a problem because he did have to go to jail for a good 20 years.
little time. 15 will
I
get
have
you
to
20.
check up on Uncle Johnny.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah,
And
he was a hell of an inspector.
Great inspector.
Yeah,
He's a little too good at his job.
yeah. It's just we didn't let him over too much.
So she's like baffled by everything, and she's starting to like kind of figure it out. But she exits Billy's boardwalk, and she sees this lady, and she's like, oh, "What year is it?" She's like, 1987, and she's like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's 1987, and the end of the 80s. I didn't even try coke yet."
And then she looks at her kids.
Yeah, it's just like, "Oh,
They don't care. They don't know. They don't know any better.
So-
That's a funny scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that plays out really well too.
Yes.
I thought that was really funny. And then
I actually am doing this thing now. Whenever you guys tell me to watch a movie, I watch the trailer first to see, just to gauge it, and that was in it. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, this might be fun.
yeah. So she's like, "Do you know where Pam Miller is?" And she's like, "Oh, probably at the high school or whatever."
Or
And she's
probably
like,
at
"I'll
school,
give you a ride."
where
Yeah.
you should be.
Where you should be. And she's like, "I'm not getting car with a stranger. She's like, what? And she's like, I'm not gonna kidnap you. I'm wearing Vanderbilt, you know. And
she's like, would a serial killer wear
Vanderbilt?
Gloria Vanderbilt or something like
Gloria
that.
Vanderbilt.
Well, it wasn't until like I think 2 years
Yeah.
later
So
when
when-
the Gloria Vanderbilt serial killer popped up. Remember?
Yes.
So,
Which was a great. Her jumpsuit
great
was-
transition.
Yeah, that jumpsuit. Yeah, the wind didn't stand a chance against her. Yeah, she was great.
So when she
That amusement park looked like Walmart at 3 a.m.
yeah, it did. It's just like all oddballs like walking through.
Walmart jokes.
Yeah.
So
No. Trust me. I've seen a lady in a windbreaker suit at Walmart at 3 a.m. with 3 kids.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m. Yeah.
Talking about how she wants to do
How she
coke.
wants to go. Yes.
So we see where Jamie, they pull up to the school, and it's a really funny cut because the car is like filled with smoke.
She's essentially hotbox the car. Yeah.
Yeah, she gets out, and I love that it like kind of slowly shows
plume
the
of
kids
smoke.
in the back seat, like just filled in this car. I was like, "This is all right."
It was
good
a
stuff.
different time back then.
Yeah.
There is a photo of me being held by my aunt, and my aunt has a glass of wine in the hand that she's holding me with,
Yeah.
and a cigarette in the other hand.
Yeah,
And I was an infant, so
Yeah,
that
you're like,
it was a
I got
wild
this.
time back
He's
then.
had a cigarette in his mouth.
yeah, it's a cigarette. He's like, "Hey," but yeah, so she sees this, and she's just like, "Wow, okay," and she exits, and she sees on the wall of the school that their mascot is like a giant Indian
Native American.
Native
I'm
American.
sorry. Yes.
Yeah. And it says like what, the Red Devils?
Yes.
I think it was.
The Red
right?
Devils, yeah.
And she's like, okay, that's problematic. All right, racism.
Yeah.
Check. Yeah. So she goes into the school. I actually love how this plays out too. She goes up to the lady and she's like, "Hi, I'm Jamie LaFleur from Canada, and today's my first day of school. I don't know if you got my papers." She's like, "Oh, here's
There
your
you go.
schedule." Yeah. She's like, "What?"
You don't want to verify anything.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Nah,
no.
it's okay.
Go ahead.
You can't even get into my kid's school right now.
Yeah.
Like, you have to ring a bell. You have to state why you're there to be buzzed in before you even talk to anyone. So I remember those days. You just walk into a school.
Yeah,
No one cares.
anyone could just walk into a
Yeah.
school and it was like, okay, yeah, that's it.
People just weren't doing this stupid nonsense.
No,
where they're just
we're
shooting
not.
every-
No,
you know?
we're not there yet. What a simpler time.
What a better time.
What a better time. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So she's her first class is actually a gym class, and so she's like, "Oh, can I not have this gym class?" And she
Cut
just
to
gets
the
forced-
gym.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cuts to
cut
the
to the
gym.
gym.
She's
Perfect timing.
Good. And so we see where she's coming out. She's like, "Man, what the hell?" And
The
they're, like,
super short shorts.
Shorts. It's like, people wore these, and she's like trying to like tug them down and stuff. And we see where the the gym teacher comes out, who is hilarious. I was actually wishing she was in it more. Because, just the way
She
she's
was great.
"Oh, I'm gonna walk over here," and she's like making all the goofy
Mocking
noises.
her?
Yeah,
Just
mocking
tearing her apart?
Yeah, tearing her apart, mocking her, and then she's like, "Go ahead, line up over there."
Teachers were like kind of bastards back
Yeah,
then.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell you a real quick story. When I was in 6th grade, I thought it was funny to interrupt the class a lot.
You
if
seem
could
like
tell.
you would be the guy
I
that
was
would-
really bad
okay.
for a while with that stuff. But I got my teacher so mad at me once that she literally took, remember those erasers that they use on the chalkboard?
Yeah, yeah.
She grabbed one and just threw
Chucked
it
it at
me.
you?
Hit me right in the chest.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree with her reaction. It was so funny.
You deserved it.
I couldn't stop laughing because there was like a moment where I was like,
What?
okay, and then I was like,
Well,
wow, I got someone so angry.
That she threw a
And
projectile
then
at
I
you.
think about it now, and that woman probably just like went home and had like a normal life, you know,
Yeah.
like normal problems, and
Yeah.
now it's just this asshole kid in her class.
Little jerk.
that is
She's
so
like probably sitting in class like, oh god, I gotta pay my rent, my water bill, I'm really behind on stuff, and then I'm just like, oh look at me.
Being a
It's like,
jerk.
fuck this kid. This kid represents all of my problems, and I'm gonna erase them.
Yeah.
If she had a
Maybe this will erase that kid out of my life.
if
Yeah.
she had a brick, she would have murdered you.
I know.
Yeah. No, that's actually
But back then, they
hilarious.
would have told you to walk it off.
Yeah.
You know what I
Rub
mean? Like,
some
if she
dirt
threw
on
a
it.
brick at my head, I would have been bleeding. She's like, you're fine.
Yeah, if you told anybody, like any adult, like the principal or any other teachers, like, why? What'd you do? You know? Like,
Yeah.
He's automatically to blame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your parents are just immediately taking the teacher's side.
yeah.
Like, my teacher punched me in the face, and they're like, what'd you do?
What'd you do?
Yeah.
Why'd you provoke her?
I mean, I technically did provoke her, but...
So they end up starting this game of dodgeball.
Epic.
Epic. And she's like, what the heck is this game? And I love how at one point it does that, like, the loss of hearing thing and the bell in your ear kind of.
Saving Private Ryan
Saving
when all the
Private
bombs
Ryan.
are going off.
Yeah, and you see, like, the girl just walking by, like, holding her arm.
Yeah.
I actually was like, that's really
That's really funny.
Yeah, that was some good stuff.
It was like a real energetic scene, too.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it plays out, and then we finally see that on the other side, the girl that gets Kiernan Shipka, Jamie, out is her mom. And she's like, you're out, bitch. And she's like, Mom? Like, and she could see it, like, it does that thing of, like, the flashing.
The
of, like,
flashing,
mom and
yeah.
her.
Julie Bowen and her younger character, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was, like, really good casting, by the way.
Oh, my
I-
God, right?
It was spot on.
The Blake, the father, and the way he played,
Yeah.
Pam, the two of them, and the
Yeah.
fact that they got John Krasinski to be the sheriff.
Oh no! Oh yeah, John Krasinski. Yeah. And Randall Park. I like the casting of Olivia Holt and Julie Bowen. I never would have put those two together to be like, wow, they look so much alike.
Yeah.
But
As I knock my microphone
their
over.
face.
I also
is so-
noticed that because I watched tons of Modern Family. I love
Yeah.
Modern Family. The younger girl went and tried to mimic her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think like she watched all that along and she was able to mimic her and she was fantastic.
Yeah.
So good.
Great casting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really, really impressed by her acting and really capturing Julie Bowen.
Yeah. Agreed.
So she meets her mom, who actually turns out to be like the mean girl, like the Regina George, the Heather, of this high school. And so the Heather Chandler, I should say, because there's a couple of Heathers. Heather Chandler is the head HBIC.
HBIC.
Yeah.
Got it.
So her mom is this mean girl and doesn't get along with her like right away. She's like, get out of our face, loser, right? And so she's like, hey, mamacita.
Mamacita.
Yeah. But Kiernan Shipka is really good in this. I thought she, her character has funny moments.
Yeah,
that
I
are
don't
really
know
good.
if you're gonna get to this, but when they're at the party with all of the kids and she dances up to the kids and she delivers the line of like, hey, this is a pretty dope party. That
Yeah.
whole scene was magic.
So
it was
good.
so good.
You know,
So
it's
good.
weird in my notes. I for that particular scene, I was like, ask EJ how he felt about her dancing because you love a weird dance in a TV show or a movie.
I do.
You
That was
always
an
catch
awkward
it.
dance,
I was
yeah.
like, I
That
saw that. I'm like,
was
EJ, love
so-
this movie.
yeah.
That was the moment where I was like, I don't have to ask EJ how he felt about this movie. I knew
knew
he
he was
loved the
gonna like-
movie.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, Jamie is like, guys, don't do a birthday party. That's they suck. Like where I come from, like they're kind of lame, and they're like, we don't care. Like get out of our face.
Why are you talking to us?
Yeah, why are you talking to us? And then so Jamie's like, okay, fine, I'll just take it into my own hands. So she runs to the police, and it's Randall Park, and
Played by John Krasinski.
yeah. And so she's like, guys, did you ever see Back to the Future? And they're like, nah,
Yeah.
no.
I heard it was pretty good though.
I heard it's good, yeah. Well, I love their list. It's like sick people, old people, and
Who do you hate more?
yeah. Oh, that's your list of how you hate people in order? He's like, yeah. It's just like, I love like little lines like that.
Yeah.
It's just a random conversation that we would have.
Right.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
It's so good. And so that little conversation was hilarious. But she runs up and she interrupts them. And she's like, did you guys see Back to the Future? They're like, no. She's like, well, there's going to be a murder. And they're like, where are you from? Who are you?
Which version of Back to the Future did you see?
Yeah. And so she's like, I'm from Canada, like, and she makes a
Prince George Island.
Is he
or
the one
something?
that's like?
Island,
Is he the
yeah.
one that's like? I don't know. That sounds made up. It's like a really funny delivery.
Yeah, and but the police are not like amused by her, and they brush off like all her claims she's making.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, whatever, get out of her face, right? And so then Jamie then tries to look up where her friend's mom Lauren is. So her friend Amelia, her mom, who invented part of the time machine, she's like, okay, I'm gonna look her up, and maybe she could actually help me out a little bit. So Jamie spills out like the whole story on how she was close to figuring out the time travel in her notebook, and her daughter found that notebook and tried to, create the time machine off of her existing work, and it actually ended up working.
It's funny though, like, because in scenes like that, I understand it's a movie, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you got to move the plot along.
Which
But it's funny to me, like they're like, oh yeah, like I'm from the future, I'm time traveling. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's very accepting of what's going on.
Well, she's been studying to build a time machine all these years. She's got all these notes and whatnot. It makes sense that somebody got it.
I just feel like your thought would be like, "What, you break in my house, you creep?" You know what I mean?
That's you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
I've believed every time traveler I've ever met.
Yeah. So she mentions the notebook, which she's like, okay, I never told anyone about that notebook. So that kind of
Eases her. Yeah.
Eases
Softens
her a
the
little
blow
bit.
of her being a time
I do
traveler.
like that Jamie acknowledges. She's like, you're taking all this information really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do like that this movie will be like,
It's
self-aware.
Self-aware.
it's very self-aware. Yeah. Perfect. So Jamie takes Lauren to the time machine, and the killer's knife, this is when they figure out, acted as the extra conductor it needed to work. So then Lauren agrees to help Jamie and fix her time machine, because she's like, I knew one day, if I did create a time machine, maybe people from the future would come back.
She was expecting it. That's what I mean. Yeah. She was waiting.
She's like, I was waiting for this anyways. So,
Sure.
sure. Back in 2023, Amelia tells Jamie's dad, Blake, that Jamie went back in time, and
Of course.
and they're like, whatever, like no one's listening to her except Chris Dubasage.
Douche Passage.
Douche-Bashage. I can't say his name.
So good.
It's so terrible. Is the only one who is actually interested in her story. He's like, oh, tell me more about this, right? So Jamie and Lauren go to the party to try to prevent this murder from happening, and this is where Jamie meets the younger versions of her principal, Principal Summers, the Sheriff Lim,
The teen faculty, as she refers to them, which was a great line.
faculty.
Yeah,
Loved it. I
like
love the
that.
faculty. That movie is amazing.
Never
Is
saw
that
the
a reference
faculty.
to the faculty.
That's what I thought. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it was.
I think she referred to them as the teen faculty because they were that flashback of the three of them standing there and then the three younger versions of them.
Yeah, because
so she was just
I
like,
think that's what they meant, but I literally that's where my head went too.
Yeah,
it could be.
In fact, I'm like, okay, so she's
Cool.
she's a cinephile.
Yeah, I mean, she does mention Scream later.
Yeah, she does.
So, so
she knows the plot of Back to the Future, so yeah, she might
she's
be.
a little cinephile.
She knows a good era of horror films. She's like
Yeah.
Scream, Faculty,
Yeah. So
PC Principal.
we see those three, the gym teacher, the sheriff, and principal, now that they're younger teens. The principal is like a dork. The sheriff is kind of like a pothead, and then the gym teacher is just this dumb jock.
Dumb
basically.
jock.
Yeah.
Environment this.
Yeah, environment this. And we also see the younger version of her dad, who is he looks like the cartoon version of
Zac Efron.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
Disney's Tarzan.
Yeah.
He literally pops out of the water, and I'm like,
And
all right.
I'm almost sure that he never has a shirt on when he's the younger version of himself.
yeah.
We'll have to fact check that. Don't worry, I'll fact check it by myself in a dark room
later.
later.
So
Whatever you're dealing with that movie, Vince.
so she sees her dad, and then the dad starts making out with the one girl, Tiffany, who is actually the first victim, right? And Lauren fills her in. She's like, "Oh yeah, they're together.
But they cheat on each other all the time.
Yeah. And so she's like, what? And that's when we see, Jamie approach them and does that awkward dance up, which I was like, I loved it. I
know you did.
It was so good. It was so good.
I was just kind of like, man, I can't wait to talk about this scene with you.
It's making me laugh, and I'm just visualizing it.
I know.
It's not even
so
watching. It's
perfectly
so good.
awkward.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to use it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to use that next time I go up to a group of people and just do that.
I just
Pretty
want to
dope
know
party.
how she thought that was going to end.
Yeah.
You know?
But we see where she actually gets tossed out of the party. They're like,
She's got to go.
She's got to go. So the big jock guy, he grabs her and he like throws her out, and he just belches in her face.
It burps at her, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you do to the people at Three Jacks when they get a little randy?
Yeah. They get,
Throw them out of the bar.
throw them out of the bar and then burp in their face. Yeah.
I've seen you do that.
Yeah. Many occasions.
You've done that to me.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it, which was weird.
I know. I got some weird fetishes.
She barges back into the party, and she's now looking for Tiffany. And they're like about to kick her out again when she actually grabs she does like this self-defense move. And that's when Pam, the younger version of her mom, is like, hey, how'd you learn to do that? And she's like, oh, my mom taught me, and it's a nice little moment.
I like that scene.
Yeah, me too. And then meanwhile, Tiffany is going to hook up with rock star Eddie Royal. But after a quick trip to the bathroom and a denial of something, Eddie leaves and she encounters the killer instead. I like how this plays out because it shows where Jamie enters. She's like, where's Eddie? Like, she's like, oh yeah, I made out with Eddie Royal once or something. And she's like, Eddie Royal's here? Like, from Killer Instinct? She's like, wait, is he famous where you're from?
They have his music in Canada?
Yeah, they have his music in Canada. So then she's like, Tiffany sets out to like hook up with him now because she thinks, oh, he's kind of
He's going to be a rock star, yeah.
Yeah. So Eddie ditches her and he leaves, and that's when she encounters the killer, who ends up killing her, stabbing her, 16 times. I do like that MO, by the way, like the sweet 16 killer.
16
the
stabs.
name and the 16 stabs. I that is has never really been done before, so I'm like, that's kind of cool.
I would have liked it if they explained it, or like kind of gave you a little insight as to why it was 16 times.
Right.
Don't they explain that at the end? I thought they did. Well,
none of us seem to know if they
okay,
did
I'll hold on.
No.
I'll hold on to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then Jamie, she busts into the bedroom, but it's too late, and Tiffany is dead. But we even see where Jamie has now kind of messed up the timeline, because originally Tiffany was supposed to die in the garage, but because she said something about Eddie, inspired Tiffany to bring Eddie to the bedroom, and that's
she messed up the timeline. Yeah.
Right. So Pam, all the cops come, and the cops are super sus of Jamie because she made all these claims.
I just want to point out she was killed on a waterbed, which
Yes.
is there anything more 1980s than a waterbed?
Yeah.
When was the last time you heard of someone owning a waterbed? Never.
Yeah, I guess that kind of fell.
Yeah, you know why?
Didn't it?
Because it's terrible technology. It's water. It gets cold. It makes no sense. So the fact that they did it for so long.
Ask Joey.
Do you know somebody? Wait, do you know somebody that has a waterbed?
Do you remember when we were talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 3?
Yes.
And the character Joey with the teardrop?
Yes.
Yeah, he dies in a waterbed.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I know that.
Spoilers.
Don't the hands come up through the
Yeah.
waterbed? Yeah, I think I saw that, which has
Yeah.
traumatized me. But go ahead.
Yeah. So Pam, the cops come and they're like,
This episode's sponsored by Waterbeds.
waterbed. So Tempur-Pedic. So the cops come and they're questioning Jamie, but actually Pam sticks up for Jamie at this point. She's like, no, she was actually trying to help Tiffany. And the cops are like, okay, we're gonna go look inside. Everyone stay here.
This is an active crime scene.
Yes.
Nobody move.
And then you just see all the teens like running away.
Everybody's gone. I also like the sheriff or the cop or whatever is like, what about this guy? And he was like, no, he's friends with my daughter. He's free to go. Because that's how it went back in the 80s. Yeah, I knew this guy. He's fine. Don't worry about him.
He's good to go.
Yeah.
Kind of loose back then.
Thanks, Dad.
Little bit.
Yeah, it's so good. So then Pam actually starts to walk away, and then Jamie and Lauren kind of catch up with her, and Pam starts to ask Jamie, like, how do you know so much about the murder? Like, how did you know that was going to happen? Like, what's your deal? And she doesn't know what to say to her mom, and then she remembers she has that like weird little
emerald or crystal or whatever the hell it was. Yeah.
And she's like, I'm actually a psychic, and hands over the crystal that her mom gave to her. So young Pam is like looking at it, and she's like, oh, okay. Like, she totally buys
this
it.
is legit crystal. So yeah, you're definitely a psychic. Yeah.
So she hands it back, and
That was kind of an 80s thing, too, wasn't it?
I enjoyed that.
Crystals and all that crap.
so she tells her that she's psychic, and her mom totally buys it. So at Pam's, they're watching RoboCop. One of the best scenes of RoboCop, by the way, where it's
The best scene?
the best scene. Yeah, maybe.
I would say it's probably the
One of the
scene I
best
think of
scenes.
the most. That or when the man
The guy
turns into
sludge.
toxic waste.
Yes,
yeah, that's so
that's-
good.
That's my favorite scene.
Yeah.
I thought the
I think
scene was that
both
time that guy shot that dick in the... wait, what is it?
RoboCop?
RoboCop shot that guy in the dick? I thought that
that's
was the
pretty
most
good.
epic scene. Yeah.
Yeah, freeze, dirtbag. Can you do that, Dad? I love that movie.
RoboCop's so good.
There was a week. Well, no. I don't even know how long we had it. But I rented that from... It was a Criterion collection came out. And so it had like an extension of the Ed 209 scene. And it was just more graphic than the original. Right?
More blood and more gore.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
And so I remember me and Adam... we would watch it every single day after school for at least 3 weeks. We like knew it inside and out, and we would just watch it over and over and over again. And we were like obsessed with like that version of RoboCop.
It's something
It's
when you're a
so-
kid.
Yeah, I don't know why.
RoboCop, we just rewatched it, I think like 3 months ago, Becca and I.
Yeah,
And it's so good.
it's so good.
It's
And
like a
just-
perfectly executed movie.
Never saw RoboCop.
No.
Next on FREAKQUELS.
Ah.
You never saw the first?
No, none of it. None of it.
Yeah.
I've seen all the memes, but no, I've never actually seen the movie.
The first movie is unbelievable. You're gonna be like blown away that that movie came out in the 80s. There is some like weird stuff with Ed 209 that probably doesn't hold up too well. But,
CG or stuff like
Disagree.
that?
it's like it's not even CG. It's just like they use like the stop motion kind of animation.
It's
But
Very
it's-
slow and
it's-
stuttery.
It's utterly charming.
Okay.
But it's charming. Yeah, it is. I feel like that's probably the only thing that maybe is like. But as far as everything else in that movie, it's kind of incredible.
It's classic.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check it out.
The directing, the comedy.
Who directed it?
Paul Verhoeven.
Paul Verhoeven.
Okay.
Yeah.
The great Paul Verhoeven.
He did
Sure.
Starship Troopers.
Nope, never saw Starship Troopers.
Young Vince, someday when you're
Someday.
old enough to see rated R movies,
You'll see.
you'll check out the
check it out.
RoboCop.
I'll check it
Yeah,
out.
we're gonna have to watch RoboCop though because that should be on. We should do that for FREAKQUELS.
Why not?
And that's another one I wish I'll try to get Adam in because like we were obsessed.
Can
with
you guys?
that
You
first
guys
movie.
could probably quote the movie, couldn't you?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
okay.
Yeah.
So how about
would
this?
quote that one a lot. We would always go, "Can you do that, Dad?" Like when he's doing.
How about this? How about I don't watch it, but you and Adam come in and you guys just act it out for me,
Oh, perfect.
and we'll do, and then I'll
do
review that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we will.
We should do another episode similar to that, but with sock puppets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, RoboCop sock puppets. RoboSock.
Robos.
Do it right.
One of my fears in life is a sock puppet. Just so you know, I'm just throwing that out there.
What are
I
you,
know that's
weird?
useless. Yeah, I'm terrified of tinsel, sock puppets, and mascots. Three things.
Really?
Yeah. Don't use it
You
against
make
me, please.
Darwin vomit.
Survival of what? Darwin vomit. So
Only Darwin can judge me. I like that. Okay.
so at Pam's.
Going on a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's our next T-shirt. So at Pam's, they're watching RoboCop, and they start to discuss the possibility of different suspects and stuff. And Jamie spills the beans that Pam ends up with Blake. She's like, oh, blah blah blah. She's like talking about guys and stuff, and she's like, no, you end up with Blake, and she's like, oh man, I just screwed up. And so she's like, I do. I always liked Blake.
She's like, I was always kind of obsessed with him.
Obsessed with him.
Yeah.
Which is honestly something you never want to hear.
Right. And then earlier at the party,
She plays that actress, so she plays that really well because she's just like,
Blake?
wow.
So
excited.
Oh.
Yeah, and she's like a huge sci-fi nerd, we find out, because she has all the like VHS.
Question about that before we blow past it. So they show all of the tapes, and it's like RoboCop. It's just like a smorgasbord of classic 80s movies.
Yeah.
Did she like own those movies, or did they rent those movies?
I'm thinking she,
They look like
one of those
you'd
like,
rent from a video store,
in,
not like a Blockbuster, but
I feel like
a
she
mom-and-pop one.
She rented it and dubbed it.
That's
I think those were all dubbed copies.
Like when you would put your thing in and record a movie on
onto another VHS.
And you would put like the label.
When you
on.
put the two VCRs
No,
together.
Yeah.
Not a
I
label,
see
just
that.
a piece of tape.
Yeah. So that's what it kind of looked like, but she had like scanners and like just a bunch of different 80s.
She should have had some movies in there that people hadn't heard of from the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, why were they all classics?
Chopping Mall.
Yeah, like Final Exam or something.
But yeah, so she finds out she ends up with Blake, and she's actually super excited. And earlier at the party, Lauren's like, yeah, they all cheat on each other because they're all horny teenagers, right?
You're too young and horny. Which is great.
So Jamie's like, you can't be with Blake right now. It's not
time
a
yet.
couple of years. And she's like, you guys are too young and horny. So
that's funny. Like she's like parenting her mom.
Yes. It's a cool dynamic.
And even like the grandmother comes down the stairs. Well, it would be Pam's mom, but Jamie's grandmother, and she's like, "Mom." And I
just
love the
rude
mom
to
is
her.
like, the mom's like, I
Where's the
know you're
meatloaf?
I know you're going through a hard time right now, but I do have some cookies for you guys. She's like, Mom, get upstairs.
You're making it worse.
You're making it worse. Yeah. You're just like, all right. Like, it's not.
And then
I like moments like that, though, because it was like she got to see herself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like being like, oh, like I'm.
Oh, wait, that's
me.
what it looks like when I do that?
Yeah. I like that scene a lot.
I also like the line of, no wonder Grandma never comes to visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me of like Back to the Future when he sees the Uncle Joey and he's
behind
in the
bars,
crib and he's like, better get used to those bars, kid. You know. So I
like the human moments in this movie.
Yeah,
stuff
me
like
too.
that, because I think this is followed up by the scene where she's like talking about how like much she loves her mom, and then she's like, no one wants to listen to you talk about how much you love your mom.
Hey, can I do you a favor as your friend? Do not talk about how much you love your mom.
But I like that scene a lot.
Yeah.
we found a scene in Terrifier 2 that we love too, where the what's
The
her
mom.
name
The
was
clown
just like,
cafe.
I love. No, she was just like, I love you, Mom. We love that. We love those little things in these movies.
Yeah. All the human stuff.
It's relatable
It's
and
needed.
yeah.
You do need stuff like that so that you can kind of care about what's going on.
Yeah. And it makes you
'cause-
care about the character a little more
Yeah,
too.
it puts more stake into in these characters. Like, so you see this relationship between her and her mom, and they're kind of like, she's momming her mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's beautiful in itself. But it also adds the stakes. Like, if something does happen to these characters, you start to care about them more. You know what I mean?
Minute. Do you think she was
Here,
raising...
God, look, we're both now. Here it comes.
No, wait. Was she raising her mom with the wisdom that her mom gave her?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
That's so weird.
Maybe that's why her mother became the way that she is, because she learned it from her.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Huh.
I don't know.
And you know what's but that scene, like how we talked about earlier in the kitchen, she's like, Mom, your friends died like 34
35
years ago. Like, who cares at this point, right? And then it kind of plays into like her mom yelling at the mom, going like,
And now that she's
"You're
experienced
making
it,
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah, it's also interesting too that like Jamie probably didn't really understand where her parents were coming from, but now it's like she gets to walk in their shoes.
she watched it.
And
She watched the
she's
murder.
like, oh, okay, like I'm appreciating my parents on a completely different level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Which, as
like,
we
I
all
understand them as people now.
Which, as we all get older, we all do. I feel
Yeah.
like we start to see our parents as more human than just mom and dad,
they're not
and
like
just equals and people like we are now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
I don't have parents anymore.
I can't. I was gonna make a joke, but I'm gonna
Go
keep
ahead.
it. No.
Go ahead, what were you gonna say?
No,
We'll
nothing.
cut it out for time.
You'll cut it. If only your parents had more time.
Oh my God.
Come on, don't.
Cut so deep.
God,
That hurts.
that wasn't
I
even
felt
funny.
that over here, and I'm not.
Hey, guess what? Hard edit and then edited back in.
Please, it's just gonna be that on a loop
Yeah.
for a minute.
What did Vince say? Like, we don't know what you exactly said, but
should
we're
have, like, a little teaser.
So hurt by it.
A teaser,
A teaser for this.
That's the teaser.
Ouch.
Oh, that hurts.
You know I love
See
you,
how Vince made Rory cry.
Roy. You know I love you,
You know I love you, baby.
I love
Despite
you,
everything you say and do.
despite everything I say and
and
do.
the fact
to
that
you.
I'm just withholding money from you.
There's that family starving.
So back at
They're
20
hungry.
They're still hungry. Back at 2023, the events of the past are now starting to change the future, and Eddie Royal is now not the hard heavy metal rock star that he was. He's actually in an emo kind of band called A Waterbed Away. Great name, by
Which
the
is
way.
a
a
great,
great
name.
name.
Yeah, I love that whole that trauma made him into this artist instead now. So
He was Twisted Sister. Now he's the Cure.
yeah, exactly.
I wish it was called A Waterbed of Tears.
Ooh, I like that.
That's good too.
That should be our band.
Yeah.
Let's create a band.
Wanna?
Yeah.
A Waterbed of
A
Tears.
waterbed of tears.
Yeah. And
Comforting to sleep on that every night.
and we also see that the location of the murder wasn't the garage, but now the bedroom. And Chris is kind of seeing this, and he's explaining to Amelia.
Chris
the change-
Douche-Bashage.
Yeah, Chris Douche-Bashage. I can't say his name. And he's explaining this to Amelia, and she is kind of like, oh, okay, that's kind of like the Mandela effect. You're remembering a timeline that was, and now it's changing. And they also see, they get a little letter, a little note from Jamie in the past saying stab the machine. And she's like, what does this mean? And so Chris is like, we always thought it was heavy metal lyrics or something. But in a little ruin, she's like,
Stab the machine.
stab the machine. But then Amelia quickly figures out, oh my god, wait, that's Jamie.
And she's
leaving
sending me a
hint.
message.
Yeah, she's sending him a message. I need, more of a steel conductor to make it work.
A bigger metal conductor, yes.
Yeah.
To make the
We're gonna need a machete.
We're gonna need a machete. Back in the 80s, Jamie is trying to make sure and prevent one of her mom's friends from getting murdered by taking a trip out of town. She's like, guys, let's go out of town. Let's hit up New York City.
Yeah.
Let's
Highly
go
populated.
somewhere. Yeah. And they're all like, okay, right? And then they're not really buying into it. And then eventually one of the friends goes, yeah, let's go to
My parents' condo.
And she's like, yes, let's go there. That's great. And so she's like, oh, good. Okay, now that's taken care of. So Jamie actually learns the history of what happened to Fat Trish and suspects Fat Trish's brother. Well, that's what they call her.
I know, it's just
yeah.
Oh, it's so harsh. That is
It's
so,
so harsh.
accurate though for that time period.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why it was so friggin' funny.
Yeah.
I don't think people let's say Jamie's age, right?
Yeah.
Would realize how horrible people were to each
back
other.
Yeah, it was so bad. But so she learns that the history that there was this girl named Fat Trish who died, and her brother Lurch has a history of being violent and angry and stuff. And she's like, wait, you guys don't think
You
it's
left
him?
that out?
Yeah. And they're like, oh no, he's fine. We never did
We
anything
like him.
to him. Yeah.
Yeah, plus we like him.
Yeah. Plus we like him. So as they're driving in the car, Jamie starts to fall asleep. And when she wakes up, They're in the middle of the woods.
Middle of nowhere.
At the cabin, which is the crime scene for the second murder. She's like, what? I thought you guys said it like a condo. She's like, oh.
It is a condo.
It is a condo, like a timeshare thing.
It's a timeshare.
I really like when Jamie's trying to go to sleep and the girl just turns the volume up to make it a little harder for her.
Yeah.
That's like a funny teenager thing.
Yeah.
Like, how can I be a dick to this person?
It's like,
were you going to talk about the conversation they were having in the car, the two girls in the front seat?
Oh, about the drinks. Oh yeah. So they're like, yeah, Tiffany. Like, and they're like, yeah, she loved her BJ's, like the drink, right? And not the penis, because that's where Pete comes out.
That's where Pete comes out of.
And then they all start to get emotional because that's what Tiffany would always say. That's where Pete comes out.
Those two girls are the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then I do love that cut. Like, and so like her head is against the window and she falls asleep, and then the like match cut of having it
waking up,
like
and
the door slam and she like wakes up. That was a great cut. I
like that.
There's one earlier too. It's escaping me at the moment, but there was like a really cool thing. I think at the beginning with the house.
Oh, where it cuts to like the crime and then it cuts.
Yeah,
like,
I really like that a lot too.
Yeah.
I think there's the scene where she's lying on the floor, and the camera comes in through the back room, and the two girls walk in and find the dead body, and then they go out and they have that blur, and then in focus, and then it's kind of like a oneer where they go through past the girls and outside, and then they spin around and they look at the house, which was a beautiful shot.
Yeah,
I love that.
I mean, none of us believe that shot was actually in the movie, and that maybe you just made that whole fucking thing
Maybe.
up just to waste our
Maybe
time.
or maybe not.
So, the group at this point is just ignoring Jamie. Everything she's saying, they're partying, they're having a good time.
Because she's already predicted one murder.
Right. And they're just like, yeah, whatever, right?
And she's saying, this is where someone else is going to get murdered. And they're like, no, shut up.
Right, yeah. And then even the mom is like, she's like, oh, are you disappointed because you wanted to les out or something? And she's like, ew, mom, gross. Not the gay thing, but like...
She's very aware.
Yeah, I love that, like, this character is existing in a time where, like, stuff is just, like, so...
She finds it problematic.
Yeah, like, everything is so problematic to her. It's almost like an overload mode, and, like, she, like, slips, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, no, wait. Nah. I love a lot about this movie.
Yeah, the 1980s stuff versus, like, the 2023 stuff, it's, like, real playful.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's really funny.
Yeah.
Whatever, I don't fucking
Yeah. But... as they're partying away, that night the killer actually does show up, and he shows up in the bedroom of Heather, and not the other girl that was supposed to die, Marissa.
And I love that she has to scale the house to get there.
Yeah, so she's like, "Come on, let me in," and then like the young sheriff, Lim, she's like
high in
she's
bed.
like, where's the pizza? She's like just looking for pizza, and then.
The killer's in the house. I'm in the house.
Yeah, I'm in the house. Yeah. And then she finally finds her parents, who are kind of like making out. And that's when the mom remembers. She's like, oh, wait. Oh, my God. Jamie predicted that Marissa was going to die. I'm going to, like, we have to go help her. So she's like, barricade the door. So that's when Jamie gets in, and she's like, yeah, she's about to get attacked, you know, like Heather's about to get attacked. And so they try to rush there to save her. And I love that scene because the killer turns up the radio to like, let the music play. And this huge scene breaks out. Is great, where the killer is like trying to chase down Heather, and he actually ends up killing Heather, but he gets in a scuffle with Jamie and the parents, and we see where, you know, Jamie's father, Blake, young Blake, gets stabbed in the shoulder, and then we see young Pam gets her face smashed off the fireplace, or the shelf actually. And then eventually Blake gets the better of the killer and he like runs away. But we do see where Jamie at one point hit the killer in the head with like a log, and some blood came out. And so
I like when it connects.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good. That whole scene is great.
Are you talking about when she gets?
Yeah,
They're in the bedroom and
yeah, and like let the music play and the log hitting the killer. So then, they look and their friend is dead. Right, Heather was killed, and she's like, it doesn't make sense. Like the other girl is supposed to die, not you. You know what I mean?
Keeps screwing up the timeline.
Yeah. So again, something else changed now, and so. At the sheriff's, Jamie is trying to give them a bag with like a towel.
DNA.
Yeah, she soaked up some of the blood from the killer. And she's like, here, guys. And they're like, what
do you want us to do with this?
Yeah, what do you want us to do with this? She's like, it's DNA. Like,
run it through the database.
Run it through the
DNA database. The
like,
what?
They're like, what? Oh, yeah, let me just get on my computer.
And then he takes it and just throws it on the floor.
Yeah, she's like, oh, come on. That response is so good. It's like, oh, come on.
It's so good.
But they toss it away. And that whole scene plays out really funny. And then some of the group, like Blake especially, starts to suspect that maybe it was the sheriff's daughter. Like, he's like, where were you the whole time? And she's like, I was, like...
stoned out of my mind.
Yeah.
Looking for pizza.
Yeah, looking for pizza. And, like, why aren't we blaming her? She's the one that, like, when she started coming around, everyone started dying. And they're like, get out of here. But, so...
Valid point.
Yeah. So, back at school, Jamie actually breaks into Lurch's van. And, but quickly finds out...
Tons of video games and
yeah, it's just like video games and stuff.
And a bike under a blanket for some reason.
Yeah, and that Lurch is not the killer.
But he does have a classic creepo van.
He does. He's got that.
Yeah.
He's
It's
got
like
a
a date
vibe.
rape van.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has like that old school van, and it has like a huge picture of like a wolf or something on it.
A unicorn fighting a wolf with a bear and his teeth are out. And
very
that
like a heavy metal like
and that
cover.
oval window.
The
in the back.
observations there of like a weird kid from the 80s, it's perfect.
Yeah, and so
What's he driving around with like Nintendo games for?
Because he's got a video game system in the back of his car.
What's
That's where
he
it goes
playing
to
it
hang.
off
I
of?
have no idea.
Where's he connecting everything?
I don't know. It's
You know what?
Lurch.
I want answers, people who wrote this movie.
But-
Write to Freak... No, hold
You're
on,
not gonna
EJ.
get it.
I'm taking over for a sec. I'm just saying this. Write to Freakquels and explain yourself.
What's
EJ, continue.
What's the email address if they wanted to?
It's freakquelpodcast@gmail.com.
Ecamail. Got it.
Yeah. So as she gets pulled out of the van by Lurch, she's like, oh, okay, fine, like. Just
She
don't take
kicks
my...
him in the nose, I think.
Yeah, she kicks him in the face, and he's like, "Fine, just don't take my video games, right?" And she's like, "I don't want your video games." And then she kind of realizes, like, quickly, okay, maybe Lurch is.
Yeah, this isn't the guy.
Yeah, this is the guy.
Not the guy.
And then they get interrupted by the young version of the principal.
The hall monitor.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm the hall monitor. You guys can't be out here without a pass." And they're like, "Oh, whatever." And then he brings up Tiffany. He's like, "Can you believe that Tiffany died? Like, if she gave, Eddie a BJ,
He'd still be here.
maybe she'd still be here." And she's like, "Can we not?
Can we not make that the thing we take away from
Let's
this?
not make that the lesson.
Let's not
That's
make that."
that's the
the
part I
lesson.
laughed at the hardest.
Yeah,
That was
that was so good. That was really good. And then, so Jamie devises a plan. She's like, okay, it's not Lurch. Let's try to lure like this killer out. So she devises a plan to trap the killer in the dollhouse of horrors, and she gets everyone who survives the cabin to pretty much help with the plan. Meanwhile, Lauren is rebuilding the time machine in the on the quantum drop, so Jamie can get back to her own time.
They're using this
2023.
amusement ride to suck the energy from that to power her time machine. Yes.
Right.
Remember
Yeah.
Gravitron?
The Gravitron. Oh man.
Pretty much the Gravitron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like those rides?
No.
All right, favorite ride. Ready? Favorite ride, amusement park. Go.
The Zipper.
The Zipper. Is that like the salt and pepper shaker where it like spins as it goes around in circles?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. EJ, you got a favorite amusement park ride?
Not the swings. Yeah.
The ones that swing around?
Yeah, just
Those
the
are my
swings.
favorite. That's
I
my
have-
favorite ride at any
I have
amusement
a horror
park.
story about the swings.
Bring it.
Really?
Wait, are
Okay,
you going to
yeah.
ruin swings for me?
No. I was 10 years old. I ate a hot dog. I don't know why. I never.
Because you were hungry.
Yeah, and
That's
so
usually
it was
how
like
that
a
works.
small
That tracks.
town,
That's true.
a small town fair kind of thing, and so they had the swings, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit up the swings. And I was just by myself, and I got on the swings, and because I think my mom took me there, but I was just like rolling solo because I thought I was a cool 10-year-old. So I got on the swings, and it's going around, and I get really, really sick. So I throw up, but I throw up like this, and it like goes off my shoulder and hits all these people behind me. And
You threw up to the inside track instead of the outside track.
yeah. So I went,
You
right?
sprayed everyone behind
And
you.
so everyone behind me gets just splattered with
Left
vomit.
in your
Can I tell you
wake.
why that's funny? Because the people that you hit probably still tell that story.
Yeah, and
I guarantee it.
They're like, the most disgusting thing happened to me once. It smelled like hot dogs.
Those people, the swings are also their least favorite ride.
For vastly different reasons.
The swings was ruined for everyone that day. And so I vomited, right? And so I went, "Blah," and I threw up on people behind me. And then I get off the ride, and I'm like kind of like still spitting out, like
Yeah.
puking a little bit more.
Is everyone
into,
mad at
like,
you?
A trash. No, well, people are they're confused. They don't know who did it, right? So
Not the kid that's spitting in vomit.
Throwing up
They're
into
just
the
like-
trash can violently.
So I was just like spitting into the thing, and then these
Who did
older
it?
teenagers were walking by, like, "Yo, some fucking kid puked all over me," right? And they're like bigger. Like I was 10. These kids were probably like 16, 17.
Yeah.
And
They know you did it.
and so they're walking by, and then I go, "Yeah, they got me too." And I just had like a little bit on my shoulder.
My
Wow.
God.
That
That's,
would have been awesome if
that's
like
perfect.
that would have been awesome if they just grabbed some other kid who didn't
And
do it.
shit out of
beat the
him.
shit out of him.
Yeah,
You're just like, get him!
that's the guy.
You know who really hates the swings? That kid.
Yeah. So swings, not for me.
One thing I'll say about those rides back then, I love how they were just not safe on any level.
And
They-
did we care?
We did not.
Not one little bit.
All the carnies could care less if your ride fell apart.
They didn't.
You would see like a ride that is like swinging back and forth, and like it's like the base of it is like teetering.
It's coming
And you're
off the
like,
ground.
"Oh, this is coming off the ground anytime."
The carnies are like, oh, this thing's falling apart. Like, it's fine.
Did you put a stake over there? And they're like, "No." All right, well,
All right.
we'll get it next time.
We tried.
I'm
We're
not
leaving
helping
in 2
nobody
days.
today. Some prick threw up on me.
So
Oh my God.
that was my
That was a
happened to
great-
me.
that was a great story,
That's
EJ.
probably my most embarrassing thing that ever happened.
All
to
right,
me.
Roy, your most embarrassing story. No.
Not enough time.
He's still living it.
No. It's this episode with you guys.
Oh. Yeah, so you see how that plays out. So in
That was
the
like a
dollhouse,
Beatles go to India moment right there. This Freakles just fell apart.
So in the dollhouse of horrors, Marissa, the third victim, is used as bait to draw out the Sweet 16 killer while everyone else is hiding.
What is she saying to herself as she's walking?
like-
She says like a lot of really funny things.
She does.
She's like, "Hey, I'm ready to give you a BJ."
Yeah.
now," right? Like she's
Just
like
give 'em
yelling out
BJs.
to Randy, "I'm looking for you. I'm ready for those BJs." Right? And
It's such a funny performance.
yeah, it's so good. Just the delivery is like outstanding.
It's good. I like that.
And so then, as she's being used for bait, the trap actually works, and the young sheriff Carol Lim saves the day by killing the killer just in time
With her sickle.
with her sickle. Yeah, which was real. And I was like, "Oh,
Well, her dad gave it to her.
right." Her dad gave it to her, probably from evidence. Who knows? And it turns out they take the mask off, and it was Doug Summers, who was actually the younger version of the principal.
The principal, the hall monitor, yeah.
Yeah.
And they foreshadowed with the whole karate thing.
Yes, so they kind of foreshadowed with that, and then also that Doug Summers was actually the boyfriend of Fat Trish.
Yes.
And so what happened that night, as Marissa reveals, that one night Tiffany, Trish,
Got her super drunk.
Heather, and Marissa were all hanging out. They got Trish super drunk, and to the point where they like were making fun of her. So she called Doug, and then she drove herself home, and she got into a car
And she wrapped
accident.
her. Okay,
Yeah.
so my theory on this was she was 16 years old, which is why he stabs 16 times.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the only
Is that
theory I
okay?
could come. I don't know. I'm throwing that out there. I don't know if that's
That makes
fact
sense.
or
Yeah.
anything
I
like
think you
that.
wrote a better script.
No. Come on. The writing in those
No,
jokes.
it's good.
The
I'm
jokes.
just saying. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like that was the one thing I was like, okay, you need to flesh that out just a little bit more. But
16
if
stabs?
that's what it was,
That's okay.
That's
You'll take
pretty
that.
good.
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
Yeah. I at one point Jamie's like, Mom. Well, no, she's like, how could you do that? You just killed someone. You let this girl drive home drunk.
She thought her mother was a terrible. Yeah.
Right, and she actually is looking at her mom like, what the hell? Like, I can't believe you would let someone do that. You're this adult that I
idolize and look up to
idolized and thought was like the goodest of good, and then here you are, you're like doing this kind of stuff. She's like, I wasn't there. I actually got into a fight with Tiffany, and we weren't hanging
Yeah.
out that whole summer. And so that's when they're like, oh, okay, like so the mom had.
Nothing to do with it. So
No
why is
involvement.
she being targeted?
So all of a sudden, the killer is back and kills Marissa. Jamie realizes that it's actually the future killer who came back in the time machine to go after her, and finish, kill more to a point where the future killer kills a news reporter, which is hilarious. By the way.
Great death. Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, the news reporter's just there
So they
reporting
need
on the fair.
They need the broadcast signal to use the Wi-Fi, so they have to keep the
Yeah.
broadcast going as long as possible, and then they run through the shot of the news camera, and they're saying keep rolling, and she runs by,
Yeah.
and then the killer runs right behind him and stabs the reporter right in the head, in the temple. It was awesome.
It's so good. It's such a funny death because I did not expect that at all. I was just like, oh,
Which
it
is
made me
again
laugh.
more foreshadowing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, because even all the way back to the beginning of the movie, her dad Blake, old Blake, right, is watching the television show. And it's that same reporter, but like an older version of him.
Yeah.
He's like, honey, I think this guy's going to get another Pulitzer.
He's not even wearing a hood. It's
He's
raining, and he's not even wearing a
in the
hood.
storm. It's great. And so I love that, even though, like it's a little bit of foreshadow to what the reveal is going to be. And so they get into the rebuilt time machine in the quantum drop, and Jamie and the killer kind of face off in the time machine. It starts running, and the killer gets stopped by a young Pam. Like young Pam jumps onto the machine and is trying to help Jamie out with the killer. And then Jamie's freaking out because she's like, "No, Mom, no, you're supposed to stay back. You're not supposed to be here." But they're fighting with them, the killer, and then the mom gets knocked off the ride, and the time machine starts up. And we find out that it was actually Chris, future Chris, Douche Passage.
You got it.
Yes. Finally, the last time I have to say it. The podcaster who wants to bring more infamy to the Sweet 16 killer, kind of like Michael Myers in the 2018 film. Like, oh yeah, he killed a couple people, but let's bring him back to have more killings and. Yeah, he's back, just like Michael Myers in The Boogeyman. And so I love this whole reveal.
I like it too.
Yeah.
I like the way that they kind of plotted that out. And one of the things that kind of led me to believe that he was going to have something to do with it was, if you remember in the beginning of the movie, or maybe, I might not have been the beginning, but he's standing outside and he's talking about how older Pam, 2023 Pam, was just killed. She
Right.
was stabbed 16 times. And there are no official police reports yet.
Right.
So he knows exactly how many times she's been stabbed without any official police reports being released.
Wow, that is good. Yeah.
That kind of threw up a flag to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah, no, so he reveals, I'm going to be super famous now, I'll bringing back the Sweet 16 killer. But as he gets close enough to Jamie, she pulls out the nail gun and shoots him a bunch of times in the chest. and he falls against the wall, and he just explodes
Bursts into a pink mist.
into a pit. She's like, pink mist.
Pink mist.
Which is so funny because earlier
They referenced that about
they
the
referenced
video
that.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was awesome because Lurch and Doug kind of geek out about a game and discuss the pink mist. But Jamie arrives back to her timeline of 2023, and everything's kind of different now. It's very much like Back to the Future, like where stuff kind of worked out for the best.
Yeah.
And we see that her parents are alive and doing well. And her 2023, she now has a brother who's 34 named Jamie. And she's like, wait, we can't both be named Jamie. And then that's when the mom comes out. She's like, Colette, come on, you know? And so, but older Lauren now is kind of she gives her a notebook to like kind of help fill in
Everything that she needs to know to acclimate to her new life.
Yeah. And so they kind of do like this cool thing in the credits where they tell you what happened to each person and like how stuff played out for those people like now. And so we see that the one guy, he still is like an emo singer, Eddie Royal. We see that Lauren actually became like a really well-known scientist, and
I love when movies do that at the end, like the follow-up of, hey, this is what's going on with them, in case you were wondering. We know you don't care what's going on in their life, but we're just going to tell you anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, that's when the movie ends, and we see like where all these characters are now. And so, what did you guys think of it?
I love this. This is the best one we've done so far. It was the closest thing to a comedy / horror film that we've done so far, and the music was fantastic. The shots were awesome. The cast was great. One of my favorite lines from the movie was at the beginning when the coach goes, "Avoid the knife, keep your life."
Yeah,
that was such a good line. It was
so
dumb.
It's like, go Devils!
Go Devils! There's so many things that are just problematic that she calls out, which I think are great.
Yeah.
Some of the shots are just like, the look of it is awesome. There's a scene where I think she's talking to Jackie in they're in like a cafe, but there's just a shot of her looking up in the cafe, and I'm like, this is beautiful for a friggin' Prime Video.
Right.
I don't know what their budget was, but it looked professionally done. Some of the plot here and there, I agree with you, Rory, that some things, but overall the writing really funny. Mm-hmm. Jokes were timed really well. A lot of nostalgia in it, and that's one of the things. Everybody loves nostalgia. So yeah, man, thumbs up for me. This is the best one we've done so far. This was enjoyable for me.
Yeah, awesome. Rory?
Not for you.
Oh, okay. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. The only thing I would have a complaint, I wish this went to theaters. I would have probably loved to see this on the big screen.
Why not? Why didn't? Do we know why?
I don't know. I think it would, that's what, I don't know. Movies now, I feel like it just sucks. I feel like everyone's like wants to sell their streaming service.
Yeah.
And Christopher Nolan just talked about this. He's like, yeah, you know why you're not making money? He's like, everything that made you money before, you guys are going straight to your streaming service, and no one wants to pay for like 10 different streaming services.
Yeah.
He's like, if you release it to theaters, you're gonna make some money.
Yeah.
And then even on
Just recoup your
sales of
cost.
like DVDs or even digital copies of that stuff. So he's like, yeah, the thing that made you money, you're not using anymore.
Yeah.
So of course you're not making money.
I can't find what's the new Mission Impossible. What is that? Not Dead Reckoning.
Dead Reckoning
Part 1?
Yeah.
That's not streaming it. You have to buy it. It's not available on streaming anywhere. It's
awesome.
still... Yeah, I agree.
That's what I want.
You can buy it on like Apple, or you could buy it on Prime, or you could rent it, but it's not available for free to stream on any of the services that you have, which is good.
Yeah, I like that. I wish more studios would have that foresight of just being like, hey, let's release it to theaters, and if people go
and take a chance,
there's a chance. Like I feel like Five Nights at Freddy's was the perfect example of, here's a movie that came out and it did amazing, but there was a huge drop off the second weekend because they released it straight to streaming the same day as theaters.
Yeah.
That movie would have made so much more
money than had they
Yeah.
left it in there for a little while.
Yeah. I definitely would recommend it to people.
I would recommend this.
If it ever comes out on DVD, Blu-ray, or whatever, I would totally buy it. I don't know if it will because I feel like some streaming services don't like to release their stuff for some reason. I don't know.
Video?
Yeah, like sometimes like
that's a
movies
huge
on
problem.
Netflix. Yeah, like
That's
movies on
a
Netflix.
massive problem right now because there's you remember the movie Hush? Anyone ever see Hush?
Nope.
The Mike Flanagan movie. You ever see it?
No.
So it's one of his early movies. Was on Netflix for the longest time, and gone.
It's just gone forever. Yeah, you can't find it. You
Go
can't
look
see
for
it.
it,
Yeah,
you know?
you're just not going
Yeah.
to find it.
It's they should put everything, in my opinion, on a disc at some point, just so that you can actually access these movies because it's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree. And then this is like one of those movies where I would totally want to buy it, totally own a copy, check out all the special features for it and stuff. But
I bet the
Does
behind the
Amazon
scenes stuff
do
is funny.
that? Is Amazon Prime like we put our stuff on disc? Is that
No, I don't think
don't
so.
think so.
There's a lot of like all the streaming services that just aren't
Yeah.
doing it. Like we're lucky that Warner Brothers still does it and Paramount still does it. Disney is kind of still doing it, but it's still kind of like shying away from that kind of now. I don't know. It's really weird. But I don't know.
They don't want you to buy tangible things anymore.
Yeah.
They just want it to live in the cloud.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to
they
manufacture and
want
pay
you to
somebody to
get
do
their
that.
streaming
Yeah,
services?
forever and always.
Yeah.
And
They think that's where the money's at, but I don't know if that's where it's at.
Well, that's where the creative money is going now, is that people aren't making films for film anymore. They're making it for streaming services, and they're adapting because that's where they're getting the funding from. These Miramaxes
well, it's all
and
collapsing into itself, though.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they thought it was going to be like this huge thing. It was going to be the future, but it's like if you actually look at the numbers for a lot of these streaming services, they're not doing so.
no,
hot.
they're
I'm
they're
for it.
diving. Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
fine.
let
I'm
it
fine
die.
with
Let it all
Let
recycle.
die.
Yeah.
I'll go back to pirating like I used to.
will always go. My highest preference of watching movies always going to be a theater.
Going to a theater. Yeah, I agree.
I'm a
Always.
purist.
Yeah, and no matter what, that's the best way. Like you should see a film.
Mhm.
It's intended mostly to see a film in cinema.
Yeah.
So like, yeah,
I would have enjoyed this one because again, like I love
Yeah.
the cinematography of this. I loved a lot of shots in it. I would have enjoyed it if I saw it on a big screen.
This would have been like a win. Even you know what I mean? Like I feel like word of mouth, it probably would have done well.
Decent, yeah.
Yeah.
They would have recouped their money.
Yeah,
I feel like it would have done as well as that movie Freaky. Did you ever
yeah,
you see that?
loved Freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that went to theaters. We should probably cover it because it's like another movie kind of like this where it's like a bit of comedy and horror
Yeah.
mixed in.
Yeah, they're very similar, even visually speaking.
I was going to say I would
vein.
put this in the same category as Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Well, let's not go that.
Well, no. Okay, I would put this in the same genre as Shaun of the Dead
Horror
with
comedy.
horror with a bunch of
Yeah.
laughs mixed in there. But no. I agree. Shaun of the Dead is top tier
That's
for me.
something-
That's yeah.
That's like lightning in a bottle. That movie.
That
Yeah.
was amazing.
It's like a perfect film.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think like this movie was awesome. It was great. My only complaint really would be that it didn't go to theaters. But I don't know. I'm just a cinema nerd, so I always like to see it that way. But how about now? Let's get into plugs. What would you guys like to
Well,
plug?
do we have emojis?
Oh,
Are we going to get yelled
yes.
at if we don't do
Yeah.
emojis?
Oh yeah, we.
I don't know
always
who's going to yell at us.
No, we do.
Definitely not the listeners because
We get yelled at.
ain't no one listening. I'll lead. So I got a smiley face as my first one because I really enjoyed this movie. Like I'm not even blowing smoke. I really enjoyed it. I also have a skunk for the skunk weed that they were smoking because
Nice.
I couldn't imagine. I love the line of, I could give you one gummy that is 100 times more potent than this because that's facts.
Yeah.
I also have an orange because there was a scene where the one girl pours herself a drink, which is 90% vodka, and then she just puts just a little splash of orange juice in it, and then she takes a sip of it, and she makes a face, and then pours more vodka in it instead of orange juice.
Yes.
But yeah, man, I really enjoyed this. Do you have
So my emojis, I did a knife,
a knife?
an admit one ticket for the
Billy's liked it.
and a burger for Zataburger.
Zataburger.
Yeah. Because I like that opening scene with the Zataburger. It sets up everything you need to know.
That joke is classic.
It's so good.
Oh, she wishes more people die.
So you get to... It sets up the whole movie.
Yeah.
Right there.
It was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. How about you, Roy?
He's looking. Don't worry.
Got a Ferris wheel.
Yes.
I got a hot dog and a man vomiting.
They didn't have a swing set.
Who's that for? Damn it.
I thought it was shot really well. I love the performances in it. I thought they were really funny.
Cast was great.
The script's pretty tight.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely some stuff I would have liked to see fleshed out a little bit more. But it's just like a really solid movie. A nice little movie to watch.
Fair enough.
On Prime.
Yeah.
It's like if the CW made a movie.
they essentially
right?
did. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay.
I liked it.
Yeah. I liked it.
I didn't have anything
EJ,
bad
you got a
to say
plug?
about
You got
Yes,
anything?
I want to plug Jon Snow's bands.
Bands.
Go check
Plural.
them out. They're playing all over the NEPA area.
Mm-hmm.
And they're called Corn Tribute Band Issues.
Nice.
Yeah.
He was good. I enjoyed him.
And then Rory, how about you?
Well.
Oh, and Adam Farley's music.
Adam Farley. Check it out.
Yep. Of course.
He's on Spotify. He's on Apple Music. I've listened to it. It's a very good song.
Yeah. Yeah. He has some good bangers out there.
Some bangers.
Yeah.
Slaps.
some stuff that slaps.
I have an event coming up that my buddies are putting on. The NEPA Horror Fest is doing Silent Night, Deadly Night from 1984 at the Scranton Art House on 100 Penn Ave, Scranton, PA, 18503 for all of you people that love zip codes and such. It's going to be on December 2nd at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's a Saturday, December 2nd.
Nice.
Raven View Productions, of course.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fourth Cut Reviews, they're out there.
Yeah.
They're out there
Check
as well.
them out. How about you, Vince?
Nothing, man. I got nothing going on other than Three Jacks Burger Bar, home of the best burgers in the planet.
Yeah. What about their Jack and Coke? What
It's $3, man. I mean, to think we're losing money. I feel like I have to have a serious conversation with the owner.
Losing.
We're losing money hand over fist because our food is affordable, our drinks are affordable, and the laughs are free. So yeah, it's good stuff. Check us out, maybe, or don't. I'm not your mom.
No. Two friends came in from California. Well, they live here now.
Okay.
But tried the burger. Best burger they ever had.
I believe
Ever.
it. I believe it.
So
This wasn't Three Jacks, though.
it was, yeah.
It wasn't here. Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't here.
No.
It wasn't Three Jacks. No, but this Three Jacks, guys, come check it out. It's amazing. The food is incredible.
Yeah, bartenders on Sunday morning are also devilishly handsome, really good looking. Know nothing about football. I don't know why they're putting them there, but yeah, they're good. We like them.
Yeah.
Anything else, boys? Because I feel like, as they say in the podcast industry, we did it. We did the thing.
We did the thing. It's
done.
It feels good.
It's done.
Feels good. No, I love this movie, and
I agree with you.
We got to
I'm
check
glad
this out.
I enjoyed this. The whole experience, the podcast, the movie, all of it.
Yeah, same. So with that being said, you haven't just listened to FREAKQUELS.